But joining me on the hotline right now is candidate for Congress in the 5th Congressional District, the guy I consider a friend, although, politically we're not aligned on everything, so I don't want you to hold anything I say against him. Justin Bernier. Hi, Justin.
Hey, Jim, that's not the worst endorsement I've ever gotten.
Well, I try to stay away because, honestly, I'm radioactive in this state. So, I say something about the minimum wage, and immediately they label everybody else in the Republican Party with that. And you can't do that. You can't, everything I say can't be laid on everybody else. You can try, but you should not be doing that.
Well, you were in favor of, keeping the Wisconsin governor in there, and, case could be made that we should do a recall here to get our governor out. But, after Governor Walker lived through yesterday, I think our odds here in Connecticut probably aren't that good either.
No, probably not. It's the bluest of blue states. But I am heartened by a couple things, Justin. First of all, if you don't know Justin, he is a fine young man. Served in the military as well. His spouse also has served the United States government as well. In may I say, very active in a very active way, not in a very passive way. So these people are this whole family full of heroes. So Justin is a fine man. I like him very much. He's a fine young man. I think he and others would make very fine congresspeople, and I'm going to let them duke it out because I'm not going to take sides. But and the reason I'm not going to take sides is not because I'm afraid to take sides. I just do not want. I told Linda McMahon this the other day. I said, whether it's you or Crochets, I am not going to come out for either one of you. And I said the reason is I do not want either one of you to be tarred and feathered with me. I don't want me being draped all over you.
Well, let us, we'll do the duking it out. But, Wisconsin is a great example for Connecticut because here's a state that hasn't gone Republican in a presidential race since 1984, just like Connecticut. It's overwhelmingly Democratic. Republicans are a minority there. They've had a tough slog of it. They've got, in many ways, the big unions there are way more aggressive even than the ones that we have here in Connecticut supporting guys like Donovan. But they're able to win. And I think they're able to win in places like Wisconsin because they're showing daylight between them and the Democrats.
Bingo!
They're not afraid to stand up for those differences and show voters the way things can be.
Absolutely. It shows that a conservative can win in an otherwise. Honestly, Wisconsin started the labor movement. Wisconsin is a liberal. And yet Republicans are winning in Wisconsin because the people who are pulling the wagon, the workers, understand you cannot continue on this crash course towards fiscal Armageddon, which we are doing here in Connecticut and in Washington, Justin.
That's right. And it's a great lesson for the 5th District here, where we have, in fact, the most Republican district in the state. It's usually been represented by a Republican, and I believe that the way we're going to capture this seat is by standing by those conservative principles with a positive message based on those Republican principles that we know that a majority of Americans support, and run on that and not be afraid of it.
No, actually, not only run on it, but embrace it. Stand up and tell people where you stand and tell them why when you stand for these conservative fiscal principles. It will mean that not only will their lives be better, but their children's lives will be better because they will not be saddled with debt. And when we say things like that, Justin, we mean that eventually someone's going to have to tax them, someone's going to have to pay for them. So when we spend money on ourselves right now, ladies and gentlemen, because we want stuff, and Justin knows this, when we do that, we are saddling that debt on our children and our grandchildren.
But, Jim, though, it's even more than that because I've got 2 little girls, a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old. They're great, and I want to protect them from the debt that's going to be coming due. But you know what? I'm 36 years old. I'm going to have to deal with that debt too. And you too. You're not old enough to get off scot-free either.
No, actually, I'm not. My sister and I were talking about that. She said, sometimes you feel old because of what you're going through right now. But she said, you got years to go before you're ever going to get Medicare or Social Security. And so you're going to have to pull that wagon for another 7 years.
That's right. No one's getting off here, And it's we've got so much opportunity here in Connecticut and the rest of the country. If we would do an all-of-the-above energy policy, if we would do real health care reforms to get costs down, expand access to care, real tax reform and regulatory reform. We've got the highest business tax in the entire industrialized world here, and Connecticut's got the highest taxes in this country. So how are we going to expect businesses to come in? But if we can just be aggressive on these policy issues, and really that's what Ronald Reagan did to turn the country around, get a stable dollar, get tax reform, regulatory reform, and things will take off. There's a lot of capital sitting on the sidelines. There's a lot of people that want to get back to work. And I think if we can get the Obama administration aside, and if we can get these good conservative Republican principles into place, this country is going to take off, and you're going to see a rebirth.
You know, I actually I like Lisa Wilson-Volley, and I like Mr. Greenberg as well. We had a short run in at one point, but I forgive and forget. And then and I like everybody, but I have to tell you, Justin, you are a fine young man. I think you'd make a fine congressman. And not only that, I don't know if you're aware of this. I guess you went over to the Hartford Courant, or you did a little deal over there. Is that right?
I went over to Broad Street today, and hey, look, they're great people, but they think Connecticut's doing well right now. And they think that the economy is buzzing here, and that companies are moving in. And I'm not buying the press releases, okay? I mean, you talk to regular people out there, you talk to small businesses, you talk to big businesses. Nobody is doing that great in Connecticut.
No, but you were actually given credit on Twitter. I don't know if you're aware of that, but you were actually given credit on Twitter for walking into the Lion's Den and telling it like it is. And do you know you actually impressed a bunch of people?
Well,
you did.
I'm
because
glad
I
to
think
hear that. That's great.
Because I think they think we're all social. They bought into the Republicans are all about the social issues, and we're not. We're more, at this point, we are concerned about getting the economy straight, getting the government out of our lives in so many ways. Not in every way. We're not anti-government, or we wouldn't be running for government.
And this is a great point here. It's something that even Democrats and conservative, even moderate independents and Republicans of all stripes can get behind. And when you add up all those people, it's a huge majority of the population that wants to move the country forward, expand the private sector, reduce the size of government. And you're gonna find folks even in the left side of the media that are going to agree with you on some of these things.
Well, it's the folks on the left, they agree with me on some things, and some things they do not. But I understand that kind of thing. Be careful, by the way, when you use that word "move forward." We get nervous around here when we hear that expression.
Well, it's been co-opted like so many other good words.
That's true too. Well, Justin Bernier is running for Congress in the 5th District on the Republican side. I'll ask you the same question I asked State Senator Rohrabaugh. And that is, Donovan's in trouble. I mean, he's in trouble. I mean, he had to know what. I'm not saying he had to know, but it would seem he should have known. How's that? Is it a little bit better? I want to know if you're going to make that a campaign issue.
Well, I think it is a campaign issue, and we have to speak to it.
Thank God.
Leadership in an organization starts at the top. If he doesn't know what's going on in his own organization, or if he's surprised like that, well, we really shouldn't have him at the head of a congressional office.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, can I say, Justin, be still my heart. I'm telling you, you're an amazing young man. You've sacrificed for your country. I'm not giving anything away, so I'm not going to say anything. But your wife, your lovely wife as well, has sacrificed for this country. You both have put your lives on the line for this country. And for that, I thank you very much. And the fact that you want to continue to serve warms my heart. I wish you a lot of luck, Justin.
Well, thanks, Jim, and thanks to your listeners.
And thank you, Justin.